Hello everyone, Marco Montemagno here, Digital Domination Summit 2013, and with me, Jeremiah Owyang. Is the right way to pronounce your surname, yes or no?
You did a great job. That is right.
I'm so bad with all the different surnames starting from mine. That's so difficult. Right, Jeremiah, you are the person that I always go to read for years now. Every time there is something social media related and how social media and new technology impact on business. For me, your blog is the Bible where I go to check, and take notes of everything that it makes any interest. So let's start from this hot topic that you're talking about, this collaborative economy. You're giving this, I would say, this tag, you launching this buzzword. What is all about? I mean, is something different between paid, earned
It's
on
not.
media, or what's
It's
going on?
it's nothing new.
All right.
Sharing is not new at all, Marco. In fact, our moms told us to share for years. But now the difference is because of social and mobile technologies, you can share quickly with other people. But not just ideas or media. Now people are sharing products, goods, services, and the stuff in their house.
Right.
This is actually the next phase of social business, that people are sharing their cars, their homes, and they're using social tools to make this happen. It's not new. Here's a few examples, okay?
Yeah.
Let's imagine I'm coming over to visit you. Where do you live?
I'm in UK now, London.
Okay, well, I might see you at LeWeb, where I'm going to be presenting this research on the
Sure.
collaborative economy on June 5th in London. So let's imagine I want to get to see you. So instead of renting a taxi, hiring a taxi, I could use Relay Ride and take my neighbor's car, or I could have somebody pick me up in my neighborhood using Lyft, and I don't have to call a taxi.
Right.
When I get to London, I don't have to go to a hotel. I can stay at somebody else's house using Airbnb. If I need a place to work, I can use Pivot Desk or Share Desk or Liquid Space to find an office. If I need funding in order to grow my company, I can use peer lending or such as Lending Club or Prosper to get instead of going to a bank. In all of those examples, I've been able to bypass corporations to get what I need from other people.
Yeah.
It's faster, it's cheaper, and I'm not wasting the Earth's resources to do that. So the key point here is the next phase of social business is beyond marketing, support, or PR. It's a social business model. And this is why we call it a collaborative economy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? What do you think?
Yeah, the question is the following. I remember an old article from Kevin Kelly where he was talking about the shift from property to assets, and then as you say, now it's true. Airbnb, Viable, all these companies. What do you suggest to companies that are not social by default, but I mean they are traditional companies? So you talk with all these companies in your events, and how can they shift? What could they do to change without
Sure.
disrupting completely their model?
Yeah, Kevin and I spent some time at an event in Stanford. I've talked to Doc Searles, Clue Train, Deborah Schultz, who's been in this space, and then I've interviewed Lisa Gansky and Collaborative Consumption Crew and Neil from Shareable Magazine. So I've been interviewing all these people for my research, and I've looked at startups. Last night I was with BMW, who's actually moving into this space. They've invested in Share My Parking Space or one of those websites.
Right.
They're allowing for their cars to be rented off their lots in San Francisco. That's right, they're completely shifting their business model. And Toyota, disclosure client, is doing the same thing as well. NBC has sponsored Yurtle, which encourages people to share products rather than buy them. That's very disruptive. So the long story here is a few corporations are moving into this space. But before we talk about what they should do, and I do have recommendations for them today, and this will be, you're getting a sneak preview in your audience of what's going to be my web keynote.
Yeah.
Here's what it actually means to companies. The first three things. The first one is the way that they do business, Marco, has changed because staffing and where you get your ideas and people and locations in your office space is now on demand. So companies first have to adopt this movement. Just like we said, oh, companies, you have to be a social business. Well, you better start by being social internally first, right?
Be social in
So
first person.
that's right. So that's happening as the first thing. Here's the second insight that we found from the research and the many interviews and looking at the data. It actually means that corporations have to care about their customers for the long term. Now, Marco, you're probably saying, oh, but they do. They tell us that they do all the
Yeah,
time.
that's the
Well, if
message,
they,
the standard message is where we care, consumer first.
well, if you do, you wouldn't have a 1-800 support line and a queue. If
Right.
you did, you wouldn't have an FAQ on your website. So instead of short-term transactions of the selling, companies now have to think about long-term sustainable products. And listen, I'm not a hippie. I'm a capitalist. I have a business degree. I'm with the corporations. I serve them. So I'm not a hippie. But it means that these products that last longer in the long run are going to matter more, and consumers are going to buy those because they're going to resell, lease, or trade those with other people in the secondary markets.
Okay, that's very
See
interesting.
the big change?
Yeah.
That's right. So it means long-term products are going to matter more in the resale market. So here's the third insight, and this one is very bizarre. This one means that corporations, because consumers are going to buy once and trade many times with each other. That's what's happening here. That's a disruption. Let me give you a stat. One properly shared car, and this is UC Berkeley's data, means that there's 9 cars that don't need to be purchased.
Yeah.
I mean, you live in London, you live in Europe. This is common. I was just in
Yeah.
Denmark. They're already doing this with bikes and getting rid of cars. BMW last night said by 2050, even cities can't support the amount of new people moving into cities. Therefore, they can't support the cars. BMW knows there is no choice but to shift to car sharing. So rather than be disrupted, they say that there's the opportunity to rent or lease 9 cars, not sell 9 cars, and they're going to change their business model. So what is the third insight? Here's where it is. It means that companies actually have to care about the relationships between two customers, as they share and trade amongst themselves. And if a brand does this right, it means they monetize that relationship.
Right.
So to summarize, it means companies have to live in the sharing economy, this collaborative economy themselves. 2, it means long-term relationships actually matter. No, really, it really matters now. And 3, the relationship between customers matter. Can I just share one story about old versus new?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on a roll. I'm going to keep on going.
Go.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I saw myself and I'm now totally yellow because the sun came out and never come out in London. So your stories are lighting me. Go ahead.
I love it. We should just be happy that there's a sun in London because that's a rare feat in itself. Okay, so here's the old way of doing business. This is called brand experience, a brand experience. And it sounds like this. I talk, you be quiet.
Right.
I talk, you be quiet. That's a brand experience. Now, that's changed. We're in the age of social. And today it's a customer experience. And it sounds like this. I listen, I engage. I listen, I engage. And that's what brands are doing today. You see it on their social media channels.
Yeah.
Now get ready. Here's the change. It's about to change one more time. The next phase is called a market experience. And this means that the companies have to help 2 customers connect to each other, to share or buy or trade their services.
Do you
And that's a
think,
marketplace
yeah,
experience. Go ahead.
That's super interesting. But do you think that all industries will be impacted by this?
Okay, yeah, yes and no. So we've run through the analysis of all the verticals, and I have a lot of brand clients. So the most obvious ones are the following: companies that are not sustainable. 2, idle usage goods. 3, high consideration goods, such as cars or washing machines. You know, I own that if you can share it. Infrequent usage, I've talked about that, like the drill. Rachel Bossman says that the average electric drill is used 12 minutes per its lifetime.
Okay.
So why would you own that? Okay. Also, unattainable luxuries. So Rent the Runway offers. So this is not just about for people that are trying to pinch their wallet. This is not about that at all. So Rent the Runway allows consumers on a subscription basis to get brand new LV purses and stuff from New York. And that's resent to them and that's repackaged and they trade it amongst each other.
Got it.
So it is also about luxury. And Uber, and there's one for jets and also for yachts.
Yeah. So it's not to save money only, because this is, I think, a misconception. But you
Right.
Okay. Jeremy, we have
There is a couple of industries that I already talked about. Banks are afflicted. Even HR workforce is afflicted. The one I'm not sure about though, Marco, is like healthcare insurance.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that can be transferable. So I'm still thinking about that. If anybody has any ideas, let me know.
All right. Couple of minutes more. You recently was at a Google I/O conference, or I'm wrong?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, because I try to understand, and I saw your Marketo talk, which was very interesting. And I just say to the viewers, just go and check Jeremiah talk at Marketo conference, because it was very
All right.
interesting about the how many screens you have and so on. What's happening there? I mean, with this Google Glass and all this point of digital contact with users, could you help us to understand a little bit more how
Sure.
to be
Let's
out of
switch
this noise?
topics.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So my next report is on the collaborative economy, but I recently did a report on converged media about how paid, owned, and earned are all coming together. And I feel like we should just dedicate a whole session to that. There's not even enough time to talk
Yeah.
about that. But that's happening on digital screens, and we're absolutely tracking how digital is happening. And yeah, I do have Google Glass. I'm sharing it with my colleagues, and it's okay. It's really clunky, but it's like imagine iPods in 2000, right? Big, fat, carries like 1,000 songs, which at the time you thought was a lot, and it has that big round weird dial. It's just kind of hard to
Yeah.
use, which we don't use that anymore. So it's like that, early technology, but really revolutionary, and it's going to change how we do computing. And because digital screens are going to be with us everywhere, Marco, it means there's lots of opportunities for marketers and lots of opportunities for customers to screen out marketing in the real world.
Right.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Okay, Jeremiah, last question. I'm just curious. Do you have any particular app that you use during the day and you suggest to all company to use this mobile app or tool that you say, gosh, this is for productivity or for business, digital business is amazing? Do you have any top favorite app?
Well, there's a suite of apps. I mean, we're in the cloud. Everything that we do, we can transfer between computers. So I'm a big fan of the Google Docs.
Okay.
We use Google Docs extensively. We also use, some people in our company use Evernote as well. I wouldn't say we have a clean solution across all of these because everybody has a different preference. But just collaborating on these docs in real time, I'm in them all the time. I have so many tabs open usually just for that stuff.
Yeah. Great. Jeremiah, thank you so much. I'll let you go. Thank you
Pleasure.
for this short interview, but it was super interesting. Guys, just go to check Jeremiah blog and all the research that you always do. Good luck for everything.
Thanks for having me, Marco. Take care, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.